Welcome back, artistic ladies and gentlemen, to another Fun Friday episode in this Pokémon TCG Online series where I play around with fun and silly deck ideas. And today I bring you a Poliwrath and Politoed deck. For those of you who saw my video on Wednesday, that is not a surprise for you because in that video I also played around with Politoed and Poliwrath. However, that deck was made by Davidoff. This time around I am playing with a deck that I built myself and has got a little bit of a twist to it, as you will see. If you want to hear an in-depth deck analysis or more details about the synergy between Poliwrath and Politoed, I will refer you to the video from Wednesday, so click the video annotation on the top right of the screen or click the link in the description to take you there, because I am going to keep it concise and short here. In short, the Politoed has the King Song ability, which gives our Poliwrath as well as our Poliwhirl as well as our Poliwag the ability to hit for free with attacks that only cost colorless energy. For example, the Spiral Current here, we do not need to attach any energies to use that, we can just use it for free. Same goes for the Finishing Blow attack from the Poliwhirl, and same goes for the Steamroll attack from the Poliwrath, and all thanks to the King Song's ability from the Politoed. That is also why we run 0 energy in this deck, Bubkiss energy, no energies, which is pretty special for a deck. However, that makes us very vulnerable to things like Garbodor or to things like Hexmaniac, because if my opponent uses those cards, then our King's Song ability cannot work anymore, so those matchups are pretty bad for us. What I decided to do here is I decided to include Slowking as a partner for Poliwrath and Politoed. Slowking has the Royal Flash ability. Once during your turn before you attack, you may flip a coin. If heads, move an energy from your opponent's active Pokemon to one of his or her benched Pokemon. Always nice to flip coins and see if you can get that heads. On first sight, this Slowking does not seem to have any synergy with our Poliwrath and Politoed. But if you think about it, I included this Slowking here to help us stall a little bit at times in the game, because our deck is not the easiest to set up. We need to rely on getting out our Poliwags, and if my opponent knocks out, for example, knocks out 2 Poliwags in a row, then we need to find those Poliwags again so we can evolve into our Poliwrath and into our Politoed. If that happens, we can use the Slowking to move the energies from our opponent from his active Pokemon to the bench so that he has to retreat his active Pokemon and we buy ourselves some time. Besides that, this Slowking is actually just generally a pretty good card just to annoy your opponent. We can, for example, if we have Poliwrath in the active spot, we can constantly try to move the energies from his active Pokemon to the bench so that our Poliwrath does not get hit, and we can keep hitting here with the Steamroll and keep putting 30 on the bench, making my opponent's Pokemon weaker and weaker until he finally manages to knock out our Poliwrath, manages to keep his energies on the active Pokemon. So this Slowking can be very clutch. I do have a 2-2 line here of Slowpoke and Slowking. Slowpoke, the Psychic one or the Psychic one, simply because I like it. It is old school. It is the same design as the Slowpoke from the base set. There's also a water type one, which I think you could include, but I went with the Psychic one just because I like it. The one difference here between the Psychic and the Water one is that you cannot heal up the Psychic one with the Rough Seas, so I cannot do that, but I think it's worth it just to see the old school Slowpoke in action in a deck. I do run 2 Rough Seas to heal up our Pokemon a little bit. No Max Potions, unlike the deck from Davidoff. I do not run Max Potions. Instead, I decided to increase my not my max elixir, my rare candy count from 2 to 3 here. 3 rare candies to help us evolve from our Poliwag into our Politoed and our Poliwrath a little bit faster. And I also run the Archie just like Davidoff did. Only 1 Archie though, he did run 2, I only run 1, since it is pretty hard to get off the Archie. So I feel like 1 is sufficient, because most games you will not be able to do it early on in the game, or maybe not even at all. Then the rest of the list is pretty similar to Davidoff's list. We have 2 N for Sycamore and 2 Shaymin for draw support. We have lots of ball search cards, 3 dive balls and 3 ultra balls to look for our Pokemon, get those Poliwags out. What I decided to do, however, is I decided to include some level balls as well instead of just dive balls and ultra balls. I did that because we need to get out a little bit more Pokemon here, a little bit more basic Pokemon than in the list from Davidoff. We need to not only get our Poliwags out, but also our Slowpokes. So I decided to sacrifice 1 Ultra Ball for a level ball and 1 Dive Ball for a level ball as well, because we cannot grab the Slowpoke with the Dive Ball. So I'm making life difficult on myself, but again, it is worth it because of the old school artwork. Then let's see here, what else do we have? Oh yeah, I decided to actually include another stadium besides Rough Seas. I went with a 2-2 split between Rough Seas and Shrine of Memories. Each player's evolved Pokemon can use any attack from its previous evolutions. I think this stadium has a very good use in this deck, since if we have this Poliwrath in the active spot together with our Shrine of Memories in play, then we can not only use a Steamroll, but we can also decide to use the finishing blow from the Poliwhirl. If we evolved from Poliwhirl into Poliwrath, if we evolved with a rare candy, that is not possible. But if we evolved with a rare candy, we can also still use the Spiral Current from the Poliwag. So I believe this Shrine of Memories has lots of potential in this deck and lots of great use cases. Then we also have some tool cards, just like the list from Davidoff. I do run Muscle Band, 3 Muscle Band and 3 Floatstone. I decided to sacrifice 1 Muscle Band for a Floatstone, since switching is very important in our deck and we have more Pokemon to switch around, because I do run Slowking, which Davidoff did not, so we need a little bit more switching options. That's also why I have 2 Escape Ropes in addition to the Floatstones. I decided to take out the switch from Davidoff and include an Escape Rope instead, because I think Escape Rope is a little bit better in the current meta at the moment to deal with things like Glaceon, since we only run evolution Pokemon that can attack. So if my opponent plays Glaceon, we need to be able to switch that Glaceon out of the active spot and then Lysander it back into the active spot so we can hit against it with our Poliwrath. Otherwise, if we do not have this Escape Rope, Glaceon can constantly block damage from our Poliwrath and from our Poliwhirl as well. Not from our Poliwag, but Poliwag only hits for 20, so my opponent can heal off that 20 damage with the Rough Seas, because most decks that run Glaceon also do run Rough Seas. Then we have some Sacred Ash, 2 Sacred Ash, just like Davidoff's list. Very important card to shuffle back our Pokemon. And that is about it for this list, I think. Maybe I should mention one more thing here, actually. I decided to replace the teammates from Davidoff's list with a Skyla here, because teammates cannot be used if none of our Pokemon got knocked out, while Skyla can, and Skyla can allow us to search for our rare candies early on in the game, which I think is pretty important. Evolving with a rare candy is going to help us get out our Pokemon a little bit faster, and we need to do that because we are a pretty slow deck. And that is going to be it for this deck analysis. I'm going to leave it here. Alright, it is time to find ourselves some opponents in the versus ladder. If you enjoy the upcoming battles, don't forget to press that thumbs up button. I much appreciate it. It helps out the channel, and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more Fun Friday episodes, and I will see you in the battles in a moment. Our first opponent is Robbie with a water and a psychic deck. Water vs water. Alright, let's see which water Pokemon. I just hit my microphone there. Which water Pokemon can take the win here? We won the coin flip. Alright, let's go first. Let's take advantage of that coin flip win. And maybe this is not water that my opponent is playing. Maybe he's actually playing psychic types as the attacker and auxiliary as draw support or something. We start off with 2 Slowpokes. And actually that's not too bad. We can move my opponent's energy around, maybe put them on his Shaymin or on his auxiliary, put the psychic energies on his auxiliary if he is playing psychic Pokemon. That would be just great. So we'll actually put down 2 Slowpokes. We have the Slowkings. If my opponent plays Trevenant BREAK, which he does, and there's the auxiliary. There is our target for our Slowking. If he plays Trevenant BREAK, we can heal up with the Rough Seas, heal up the Silent Fears with our Rough Seas, and Mega Alakazam as well. Trevenant BREAK, Mega Alakazam, and auxiliary, and a couple of mulligans. Don't mind if I do here with the mulligans. I will definitely take advantage of that, and we are going to try to win the Stadium War as well. We play 4 stadiums, so we have a good shot at winning the Stadium War if my opponent benches the stadium first, or benches his stadiums first. So we'll grab a Poliwag, and then we'll be Skyla for another Poliwag. Let's put a Muscle Band on the Poliwag here. We kind of need to find... what we need to do is we need to find more Poliwags, but we also need to find Floatstones for our Slowpokes. So I'm going to end. I'm not going to Skyla. I want to draw more here. Bridget, Shaymin. This is a terrible hand. Terrible hands. Well then. Let's. We are not going to bench a Shaymin. We have the Bridget for the next turn, so let's give my opponent a turn to do something. I actually should have gotten back the N with the Seeker. I didn't see the N in a discard pile, even though I just used it. Yeah, I should have done that, because now we might get Floatstone. Yes, we will get item lock. That's a bummer. I should have gotten back my N. I cannot believe I did not do that. Now we will get item locked here. That's really bad. That is really, really bad. Well, yeah, I looked at my discard pile, didn't see the N because I looked at it too soon, I think. And then I forgot I needed my VS Seeker for the N here. There's the Dimension Valley. It does play down the stadium, so we are going to counter the stadium straight away here. Make sure we run my opponent out of stadiums as soon as possible. And we will see the item lock. We are going to counter with our Shrine of Memories. Maybe we get lucky and find a Sycamore, an N. We do top deck an N. Alright, so we are going to counter the stadium. We are going to bridge it. And we're going to keep the N for the next turn. Bridge it for 3 Poliwags. Maximum amount of Poliwags, look at that. And then we will end our turn. In the next turn, if my opponent evolves into break and puts damage counters on the field, we will try to heal off here with the Rough Seas, and we will try to find our Slowking as well. If we can get lucky, we might get a Slowking from the end here, but we need to be a little bit lucky there. Ascension into... Oh, it's going to Ascension into the Trevenant BREAK. Okay, okay. And there's a Poliwhirl, alrighty. Poliwhirl. We cannot retreat our Slowpoke though. That Slowpoke is stuck in the exit spot, so I might just let it go down. And then let's end. Let's give ourselves a better hand. A Listener. Yes, we can Listener the Phantom on the bench in the next turn and use our item cards. And that is a possibility. So let's end our turn. We can also use our Skyla to find our Rough Seas and try to stall a little bit while we try to find our Slowking. We do need to find a Slowking in the next turn though, because we will see a Silent Fear right here. There's the Alakazam. And an Alakazam Spirit Link. My opponent cannot Mega Evolve just yet. Bursting Balloon on the Trevenant. And a Skyla for the Dimension Valley, I believe. We have the Shrine of Memory, so we will counter the Dimension Valley again. With our... Oh no, an Ultra Ball. Alright, it's going to Ultra Ball for... I'm not sure. Well, I'm going to Listener the Alakazam. I am going to Listener the Alakazam here. Because the Alakazam does not have a Float Stone, and that will break the item lock for a while. That will definitely break the item lock. And there's the Octillery, so we can start moving energy soon enough here with our Slowking onto the Octillery. Abyssal Hand for 4 more cards. Alright, so if we want to stand a chance in this game, we do need to get going in the next turn. It is super important that we do. There's an energy on the Alakazam, or on the Trevenant BREAK, and a Battle Compressor. And a Battle Compressor. Can we find our Slowking here in the next turn? Can we find it? Or can we stall long enough? Can we stall long enough here with our Listener? All my opponent really needs is a Mystery Energy though, and he probably plays Mystery Energy. Discards Zero Seek Wally and a Listener himself. So we need to watch out for those Listeners. We need to get our tool cards in play ASAP. Silent Fear right there, putting 30 across the board. Did not counter our stadium. Did not counter our stadium. And there's our Slowking. Yes, there is our Slowking. So let's evolve. Actually, maybe we need to Rough Seas. We can first try to move an energy here. It is heads. Alright, let's move our first energy to the Octillery. And I think I should find my Rough Seas instead, maybe. Or maybe not. Looks like my opponent is stuck with a pretty bad hand, though. But if he gets off another Silent Fear in the next turn, then 3 Poliwags go down. 3 Poliwags go down. I just don't want to counter my own stadium. I am... no, I need to grab the Rough Seas. I need to grab it right now. I need to counter my own stadiums. It is super important that we do not let the Poliwags get knocked out. So let's start healing up. And let's end our turn. In the next turn, we will try to move another energy. If only we could have gotten another Slowking. If only we could have moved the 2 energies possibly. But it is a start. It is definitely a start. If we get lucky enough, we might be able to move all my opponent's energies. if we get lucky enough. Is he stuck with a bad hand? Please tell me he is. Please tell me he's stuck there. And then we can use our Listener and use our VS Seeker for an end for the turn after that. We can also battle compress, thin out our deck, get rid of some item cards, make sure we don't draw into any item cards. Alright, let's see here, let's see. This is going to be a very crucial turn. VS Seeker, never mind. There, oh! Skylab for Dimension Valley. Now he is going to counter our stadium, and that is a bummer. That is a bummer, but he does use a VS Seeker for a Skylab. See, that's why I didn't want to counter my own stadium there. That's why I didn't want to counter my own stadium. There's Dimension Valley. So now we will lose the Stadium War. We will counter in the next turn Abyssal Hand. Oh, I forgot, my opponent has the Octillery to use to draw into more cards, so it didn't really matter if whether or not he had a bad hand. He has the Octillery. And Ultra Ball is going to discard a Phantom, okay. And there's a Mega Alakazam, so he's going to put 30 on our Poliwag on the bench, maybe Poliwhirl, maybe on our Slowking. I'm not sure. 20 on the Slowpoke. Slowpoke goes down. And 30 on the Slowking. Yes, he's targeting the Slowking. So there's the first prize from our opponents. We will promote the Poliwag, one of our Poliwags. Alright, we will promote one of the Poliwags, and then we will Listener in the next turn. Unless we find a Sycamore or something. An energy on the Trevenant, so actually this turn was pretty bad for us. My opponent had a really nice hand there. This is a very crucial turn that we didn't want to see happen. And there's VS Seeker, so let's Listener. No, let's not. Let's first try to use our ability here, Royal Flash. It is another heads. It is another heads. Alrighty. Let's move this energy to the Auxiliary again. Let's Listener the Mega Alakazam. Let's counter the Stadium. And then we shall VS Seeker for an N and VS Seeker for a Listener as well. We want to get another Listener in our deck here. And then it's time to battle compress, thin out our deck. What do we not want to see? No need for muscle bands, no need for float stones, no need for those whatsoever. Let's discard as many item cards as we can. We are going to keep a couple of float stones though. Town Map, useless. Level Ball, useless. Alright, let's discard more item cards and then let us end our turn, hopefully buy ourselves a turn. Hopefully my opponent does not find a mystery energy. And that's all I'm hoping for here. We can try to Listener the Trevenant in the next turn and move another energy. There's an Abyssal Hand for 2 more cards. Right now my opponent can take 3 prizes in the next turn. And there's a Sycamore. Okay, a Sycamore discards another Octillery. This could be it. This could be it. My opponent can find a mystery energy here. Trevenant BREAK comes out. Okay, and a Trainer's Mail. And a Trainer's Mail. For a VS Seeker. How many VS Seekers has my opponent used? Only one. Only the one. There's an energy on the Alakazam. Alakazam can now retreat. We can see a Silent Fear if my opponent has another Dimension Valley. But that will... Oh, there he goes. That means my opponent's discarded an energy. So that's one less energy my opponent can use. Unless we see a Super Rod. My opponent might play Super Rod. There's a Super Rod. Alright, plays a Super Rod immediately. And my opponent is going to bring himself down to 2 prizes. We need to find our Rough Seas. We need to find our Rough Seas to counter our own stadium again. It is very important that we find our Rough Seas. Shuffles back the Phantom and the Trevenant. I believe this is GG here simply because we couldn't get going. If only we could have put some more pressure on my opponent and gotten another Slowking. Because at some point our Slowking here will fail and it doesn't find the Dimension Valley. It doesn't find the Dimension Valley. We actually get to evolve into our Poliwrath. That's pretty amazing. Which tells me I'm going to Listener again. No, I should not have done that. I should have moved the energy first. Too late. Let's Listener again. Too late. Let's Listener again. That was a waste there. I should have moved the energy first. Or at least tried to move the energy first. That was definitely a waste. Yep, that was a misplay. A misplay, if there's any, that was a misplay there. I was too eager to go for the Listener. Too eager indeed. Will we see another Sycamore maybe? Will we see another Sycamore? Maybe 2 Dimension Valleys are priced. Maybe we are going to get lucky. There's a Skyla for the Dimension Valley, I guess. So my opponent will counter the stadium here, and then we can end in the next turn, counter the stadium back. Yes, there's a Dimension Valley. But does he have a way to retreat this Mega Alakazam? Or is it just going to attack with the Mega Alakazam for the knockout on our Poliwag? There's an Ultra Ball. This guy's an N and an N. I really regret not moving the energy now. I really do regret it. And a Phantom. Alright, a Phantom. We could see a Lysander on our Slowking at some point. Because my opponent has more VS Seekers, but he's using them for Skylas at the moment. And Octillery is down to 9 cards. Can we deck out my opponent maybe? If he uses some more cards, we can end, and then he draws more cards even. Actually not, because he will bring himself down 1 price here. A knockout there on our Poliwag. We will promote another Poliwag. That is what we shall do. At least we will be able to get or to use our item cards in the next turn. VS Seeker, VS Seeker. Well, let's not forget now. Let's not forget to try to move the energy. It is another heads. We are so lucky here with our Slowking. Let's move the energy to the Octillery. We can VS Seeker for a Lysander on the Phantom, because the Phantom has a 2 retreat cost. And maybe I will do that. Or I could just Skyla for my Rough Seas here. Start healing up. Maybe let's Skyla instead and grab our Rough Seas. I think that's more important. So we don't see an easy knockout on our Poliwag. So let's Skyla for the Rough Seas. And start healing up. Okay, okay. And then let's pass our turn. In the next turn I will finally end. Does my opponent have another Dimension Valley, or is it priced? Please tell me it is priced. Please tell me this. Or please tell me he only plays 3. Which would be quite surprising, honestly. As a VS Seeker for... What is that? I didn't see. I was... Lysander on our Slowking. Alright. A Lysander on our Slowking. And there's the Trevenant. Is he going to attempt to knock out our Slowking? Bursting Balloon on the Trevenant. Sacred Ash. Does he have any more energies in hand? If not, he will be able to... He will be forced to use his Octillery. And draw into 3 more cards. There's the Abyssal Hand. Does he have the energies? Does he have what it takes? An energy and Dimension Valley, that is what he needs. There's a Mystery Energy, so now my opponent can retreat. What a bummer, we will get item locked again. Well, actually not. Maybe, yeah, my opponent will retreat, so we will get item locked. And our Slowking is then stuck in the active spots. Retreats into the Octillery. So we cannot move energies around. Okay, fantastic. We get a turn of item cards. We can find our Floatstone. Let's heal up. And let's end here. Let us end. Would love to Sycamore, but end it is. Alright, Candy, Floatstone. Yes, we do get a Floatstone. Look at that. We do get a Floatstone. I'm going to discard the Poliwhirl and the Poliwrath. I need to grab my Politoed. That's what we are looking for. Let's grab our Politoed. And let's ride Candy here so we can finally start attacking with our Poliwrath. Yes, alrighty. No need to use the Royal Flash. And let's start hitting for 80 and then 30 on something but what? Probably the Mega Alakazam. Or maybe not. Let's see if we put 30 on the Trevenant BREAK. Let's read the Bursting Balloon. Active Pokemon. Alright, it's not the active Pokemon. I'm going to put it on the Trevenant BREAK. It is the biggest threat at the moment. 80 there and then 30 on the Trevenant BREAK. We can snipe this Octillery in the next turn. We can snipe the Octillery if we want, but I want to keep it as a target. So I'm not going to attack unless my opponent... I'm not going to attack the Octillery unless my opponent retreats here. Then we can just attack the Trevenant BREAK. There's the Trainer's Mail. Trainer's Mail for... a VS Seeker for something. VS Seeker for Sycamore maybe. So he discards his entire hand and decks himself out. We actually have a good chance here. We actually have a good chance at taking this game. VS Seeker for a Lysander. A Lysander again. This time on our Politoed, I think. Because he cannot really Lysander Slowking. The Slowking is Has a floatstone attached. There's the Politoed. Alright, we do see the Politoed get licensed. That is quite expected, but we do have rare candies. We do have escape ropes. If my opponent does not retreat into the Trevenant BREAK, we should be fine here. Heals up 30. That is good for me, because I don't want to see a knockout on the Octillery. And leaves the Octillery in the active spots. Leaves the Octillery in the active spots. Nope, no need for the Royal Flash. We will Seeker more. Bring ourselves down to 8 cards. And there's a Sacred Ash as well as an escape rope. We will escape rope into our Poliwhirl. I don't need to use these dive balls. I don't need to use a Sacred Ash per se at the moment, because my opponent only needs to take 4 prizes anyways, and I don't really want to bench any more Poliwags. They are too easy knockouts, or too easy to knock out. We should have another Poliwhirl in our deck. Maybe I should have gotten out my Poliwhirl first. I probably should have gotten out my Poliwhirl first, to be honest. Probably should have done that. And we will try to move this energy with our Royal Flash. My opponent did promote the Trevenant this time around. It does not work. But that's okay, we'll put 80 here and 30 on the Trevenant BREAK on the bench. In the next turn, this Trevenant BREAK will go down. So if my opponent hits for 30 across the board, that's okay, because this Trevenant BREAK will go down. And I definitely regret not getting my Poliwhirl. That's another misplay there. I should have gotten my Poliwhirl out first of all. Definitely should have done that. Tree Slam, okay. He's not even going to go for the Silent Fear, so we can heal up the damage from the bench and heal 30 from this Poliwrath. Then let's try to move the energy again. Maybe no, let's not, because we are going to knock out this Trevenant BREAK. We are going to knock it out. Steamroll for the knockout. 30 on the Trevenant on the bench, and that leaves my opponent only with that Mega Alakazam. But right now that Mega Alakazam is not a super big threat. It can, I guess, knock out our Poliwrath. I guess it can do that, but without the Dimension Valley, that is not going to be possible. And without the Dimension Valley, my opponent will not be able to put any damage on our bench Pokemon here. I think, nope. And then Mega Alakazam is useless against our bench Pokemon. So what we are going to do is simply try to move the energy from the Mega Alakazam to the Octillery, and then we should be golden. Then we should be golden to take this game. Despite a couple of misplays, we might take this game here. Despite a couple of misplays, grabs the Mega Alakazam. There's a victory! There is a victory! We took the win against this Trevenant BREAK deck. My opponent could not find his Dimension Valley. The Dimension Valley must have been prized, or he must have only played 3, so we did win the Stadium War. That's one of the things I wanted to make sure I could do, is win the Stadium War and end with my Rough Seas. It looked pretty bad. It looked pretty bad at one point, and I kind of made some misplays there in the match. I forgot to get out my Poliwhirl. I forgot to via Seeker for the N in the first turn. And I forgot to do something else, I think. But in the end, what was most important was to win the Stadium War, and I did that correctly, I think. So at the very least, there's that. And at the very least, we won this game against this Trevenant BREAK deck, which item locked us. Let's take a look at the stats. 330 damage dealt versus 580 for my opponent. Poliwrath MVP versus Trevenant BREAK in what was a very interesting match. Alright, let's find ourselves another opponent. Our next opponent is Keith1622 with a Metal and a colorless deck. I think Metal decks are a bit of a problem for us. They are just too fast for us. Just too fast, too furious. We won the coin flip. Man, I'm going first always here today. I'm always going first here today for some reason. I'm not complaining, that's definitely good. Shaymin. This is a bit of a bad starting hand though. This is a bit of a bad starting hand. Do we have another Shaymin in our deck? That is the question. Because then we can Ultra Ball for another Shaymin. Probably discard the Poliwhirl and whatever we top deck. I will use my Town Map to take a look at my prizes. And Aegislash. Alright, let's use the Town Map. What's in our prizes? Good luck, have fun. Up, it's GG. GG. Both Politoed are prized. We cannot do anything. That Town Map, luckily we got it early on in the game, because otherwise we would have never known. We would have not known until a couple of turns on maybe. Unless, well, I had the Ultra Balls, could have looked at my deck with my Ultra Balls and I would have seen then. GG. Both Politoed prized. Game over. Had fun. See you around. We will move on and concede. There is no point playing this game. Alright, let's find ourselves another opponent. Our next opponent is Singing Zombies with a Psychic deck. Another Psychic deck. Okay, let's fight another Psychic deck then. We won the coin flip. We go first. Alright. And we start off with the Shaymin and a bad hand. A very, very bad hand. Bad hand. Because we will have to Sycamore the entire hand away. And it looks like this is a Bats deck. Maybe Wobbuffet Bats. That could be it. That's going to be an interesting battle. Wobbuffet Bats. Let's see here. Yes, we will draw an extra card. And it's an escape rope. Oh my goodness. Are you freaking kidding me? We top decked the Poliwhirl and the escape rope. Ew. Just yuck. Yuck. Well, let's bench our Slowpoke. Let's grab ourselves a Poliwag. We do have Politoeds in our deck left, so that is good. We don't need a Sacred Edge for those. And both, no, alright, we do have one Sacred Edge. I was getting worried there. We have a Rough Seas, Bridget, Skyla, Listener seems to be prized. Listener is prized, that's important. Unless we have it in our hands. No, we do not. Oh, we discarded it earlier on, okay. Then we are going to Ultra Ball away. Oh, this is a bummer. I could Ultra Ball away the Rare Candy and... No, wait, I cannot do that. I'm going to wait with the Ultra Ball for the next turn. And then we might be able to pull off an Archie the Poliwrath. And then we can also evolve into our Politoed, yes. Alright, let's end our turn. Hopefully we don't see an N. We can pull off the Archie in the next turn, which is fantastic. If I well, maybe not, because we need to rely on the top deck here. If the top deck is useful, we can. And it is useful, alright. So let's discard the N. Let's discard the Poliwrath. Then let's grab ourselves the Politoed, fantastic. We will evolve into the Politoed here. And then we are going to Archie. All we need to get from the Archie is a Floatstone or an Escape Rope. We'll also level ball for another Poliwag. So all we need is Escape Rope here, and we can knock out the Zubat with a fantastic second turn. Just amazing. Yes, we will get out the Poliwrath. No need to Archie the Slowking. And there it is, there's a concede. The Archie was enough to make my opponent concede. This is a very short match, but I will just keep it in the recording, I think, just to show you this second turn, because I think that was pretty amazing. That's a turn you don't see too often with this deck. That is a turn you don't see too often. So let's move on and find ourselves another opponent. Our next opponent is Hoist. Hoist. That is very close to another word that I almost said there, which is moist. Very close. Hoist with a colorless darkness and metal deck. Hoist is going to be our opponent. Hoist will go second, so Hoist will have to wait a turn here. Let's see what we can do against Hoist. We start off with the Shaymin in the active spot. What will Hoist promote? Will Hoist promote a basic Pokemon? Yes, he does. Alrighty. We will Dive Ball for a Poliwag. We will Ultra Ball for Shaymin. If you have another one, there's a Bronzor. And that's a bummer. This is a metal deck. Do we have another Shaymin? No, no, we do not. Ah, always the case. Slowpoke. So we have 2 Slowpokes, 3 Rare Candies, Bridget, Skyla, Archie's Ace in Hole. Have we got a Listener in hand? We do not. Listener is in our deck. Alright. Do we have Rough Seas? 1 Rough Seas. 4 Poliwag. 2 Politoeds. Fantastic. I actually don't have a clue what's prized here. Maybe some balls or something like that. We will Ultra Ball then. We will Ultra Ball because we will have to Sycamore. Let's Ultra Ball away the Poliwhirl and the Slowking. Let's grab ourselves another Poliwag. Yeah, we'll grab a Poliwag. No need for the Slowpoke at the moment. Then might as well play down the stadium here. And we are going to Sycamore our hand away. No Slowpoke. I wanted to see a Slowpoke. And we do have an escape rope, so we will end our turn here. We have the Bridget for the next turn, because Lysander is not very useful. We can evolve into a Poliwhirl, which we can then evolve into a Poliwrath the turn later. We do not have the Politoed. I would have loved to see the Politoed, and a bit of a better hand as well. And energy on the Bronzor. We do see the Skyfields countering our Rough Seas. A Muscle Band on the Bronzor. And a Sycamore discarding. Oh la la, DCE. Discarded a DCE. Mamma mia. That is not good. Bronzor. Oh, is this a... Oh, and there's a Genesect. I was thinking, is this just a pure Bronzong deck? But there is a Genesect. We could try to get the Bronzong stuck in the active spot if my opponent does not play AZ, but he probably does. And that is bad. He probably does, because we could always just get him stuck with the Spiral Current in the active spot. There's the N. We might see an N in the next turn, which is fantastic. If we do, I will just kiss my opponent for the N if he does N us. Unless we top deck something fantastic here. A Notre Ball is going to discard. Actually discards, and never mind. There's a Zoroark. There is a Zoroark. That's important to note. And a Shaymin. So that's why my opponent plays DC, I guess. Shaymin for 6 more cards, or 5 more cards. 5 more cards from the Shaymin. Pretty nice start for my opponent. Can we get our Politoed going? Politoed against Hoist. How long is Hoist going to take for his turn? He's not done yet. He is still drawing through his deck. Trainer's Mail, maybe for a Floatstone. I wouldn't mind seeing Floatstones getting attached at the moment. There's a Lysander. Let's hope my opponent discards that Lysander. Never to be seen again. Let's hope he loses it in his discard pile or something. Because that is a very nasty card for us to deal with. Just like a Hexmaniac and just like an AZ. I'm just hoping it does not play AZ, honestly. Discards 2 Metal Energies, which is definitely a smart play, because can always get them back with the Bronzongs. And there is a Bronzong for the next turn. He is prepping for the next turn. I think he should have kept the Ultra Ball though. Tackle for 30 from the Bronzor. In the next turn the Genesect can come out, and oh well. I'm going to escape rope first of all, I think. Yes, I don't want to see a knockout on my Shaymin, so let's escape rope here. What does my opponent promote? Does he promote another Bronzor? Probably will. So we will Lysander the Genesect then, force him to find a Floatstone. Maybe not. I will just Bridget. Bridget is more important at the moment. Let's Bridget first of all. Get some Slowpokes going maybe. Oh, promotes the Shaymin. I was not expecting the Shaymin to get promoted. Well, I'm fine with that. I will play with that. Let's get 2 Poliwags and... actually, maybe just 2 Slowpokes and a Poliwag. Alright. And we shall end our turn. Okay, so now we definitely want to see an N. We are done with his hand. We don't need his hand anymore. There is the Bronzong for the Metal Links onto the Genesect. Another Bronzong for another Metal Links. And just like that, this Genesect can be powered up. All my opponent needs then is another Energy or another Bronzong. And a Floatstone. There's a Sycamore. He's not using his VS Seeker. Too bad for us. Discarded VS Seeker though. Discarded VS Seeker, so... Oh, and a Heatran. That is one less VS Seeker we could see for an AZ. Which means we might have to go with the deck outs. Because we are not having a very good start. I could Lysander that heavy Heatran there. I could Lysander the heavy Heatran. Fighting Fury Belt on the Genesect. Doesn't seem like he has a Floatstone at the moment. And we haven't seen any Metal Links either. And there's the Metal Links. Alright, finally we see the Metal Links. 1 energy on the Genesect. Metal Links number 2 or not. Yes, there we go. Metal Links onto the same Genesect, and then it's going to be important here. Do we see an energy? Do we maybe see a Shaymin? Because he probably plays more Shaymin. No, just pass for the turn. Okay. We can counter the Stadium. Well. I will evolve into my Poliwrath, I think. Do I do anything here? I kind of want to retreat my Poliwag onto the bench here. And we can let my opponent attack with Genesect maybe. Maybe not. I kind of want to preserve this Poliwag, that's all I want to do. If I escape rope, then my opponent can retreat into the Genesect. We can Listener. I guess. No, I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to sit on my resources. I want to keep my resources for later on in the game at the moment. I'm just fine by passing the turn. Let my opponent look for a Floatstone. Does he have a draw supporter? 3 draw supporters in a discard pile. Maybe he has to VS Seeker here for a draw supporter. There's a Super Rod. Why would he Super Rod? Now he needs to shuffle back the energy. That was a misplay. Otherwise he could have Metal Links the energy back onto the Genesect. And a Sycamore, yes, please discard some more VS Seekers. Oh yes, an N and a VS Seeker. Discarded another N and a VS Seeker. That is super duper great. So now we might only see 4 AZs if he plays 2 and then 2 VS Seekers for AZ. There's an energy on a Genesect. Does he have the Floatstone? Trainer's Mail could find the Floatstone here. If he does, we will escape rope and then he'll probably promote the Bronzor and then we will Listener the Heatran. Or maybe the Bronzong. Probably the Bronzong, to be honest. Because the Heatran can attack for higher amounts of damage than the Bronzong. He seems to have a bit of a trouble with his Trainer's Mail. Seems like a difficult Trainer's Mail for him. Lots of possibilities. There's a Startling Megaphone. Alright, we did not have any tools attached, so let's hope he discards that Startling Megaphone with another Sycamore in the next turn. And then we are done with that Startling Megaphone. It's good to remember for us. We need to remember this. He's playing Startling Megaphone. I need to remember that, and I'm probably going to forget. I'm telling it already. We are going to forget that. Let's bench this Poliwag. That is good. We top deck another Poliwag. I would have loved to see a draw supporter instead, though. But we still have some options here. An energy on the Shaymin. There it is. There's the energy on the Shaymin for the retreat into the Genesect. And we'll see a knockout here on our Poliwag. I will promote my Slowpoke. I will definitely promote my Slowpoke. If only we could have hit here with the Spiral Currents against this Genesect, that would have been superb. That would have been just great. And a VS Seeker for a Lysander. Okay, we might actually see a Lysander on our Poliwrath, which I wouldn't mind. Yes, alright, he does Lysander our Poliwrath, because I just want to keep my Poliwags to hit for the Spiral Current and get the Genesect stuck in the active spot or anything while we move the energies to the bench, to the Shaymin or something. 150 damage, discards 2 energy, so now we can get that Genesect stuck if we can find our Politoed or a way to get out our Politoed. Let's promote. We need to promote the Slowpoke. We have the escape rope. We can always escape rope into a Poliwag. And a Sycamore, fantastic. Alright, Muscle Band. I know my opponent has a Startling Megaphone, but I will have to discard them otherwise anyways. Escape rope or not? Yes, escape rope. Okay, escape rope. Force my opponent to promote the Bronzor. Yes, there we go. We'll promote our Poliwag, and then we'll counter the Stadium and Sycamore. Not ideal because my opponent can evolve to get rid of the confusion and to get rid of the effects. But at least we can get going here. There's the red candy for our Politoeds. And we also get the Poliwrath. Or the Poliwhirl. We can hit for a knockout against his Bronzong, I guess. Maybe I should do that actually. Maybe let's do that. I'm not going to evolve this Poliwag on the bench yet. We do have a Floatstone, so we can always Floatstone if you see another Lysander. You can only Lysander once more, which is just great. So finishing blow for the knockouts, forcing my opponent to promote a Bronzong and look for another Floatstone or something, or a switching card. While he powers up his Genesect on the bench, we get a Dive Ball, yes. So we can evolve into another Politoed. We do need to get our Sacred Edge though, because there's tons of Pokemon in our discard pile. We need to find our Sacred Edge so we can try to get our Slowking going as well. We actually got another terrible hand from the Sycamore. We are not very lucky with our hands. I don't know how we are still in this game with the hands that we had. Just simply by getting that Pokemon stuck in the active spots. And promotes the Shaymin again. Promotes the Shaymin again. Is going to try to retreat back into the Genesect. Professor's Letter, yes, does have more energies there. 4 energies in the discard pile. So we will see a knockout on our Poliwhirl here. And then I'm going to go with the Poliwag. Hopefully I can stall long enough with the Poliwag until I can shuffle back some Pokemon in my deck. As the energy on the Shaymin, we'll see the Metalings. Or I could just maybe try to find a Lysander now. If we get a Seeker for a Lysander, I will Lysander out the Bronzong and try to get the Bronzong stuck. There's no doubt about it. Because we will never win this game by knocking out my opponent's Pokemon. There's just no way. There is just no way. We did take 1 prize, but that's probably going to be it for this game, to be honest. We needed to set up a long time ago here. And the Startling Megaphone as expected. But I had no choice but to attach my muscle bands. At least we won't see a Startling Megaphone on our... Oh, and a Lysander on the Politoed. Yes, 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 a Lysander on a Politoed. He took the bait with the Politoed. He took the bait with the Politoed. I actually want to see the Politoed get knocked out here. Unless we do not have another Politoed in our deck. But I do think we do. I do believe we have another Politoed in our deck. And that is his last Lysander. And now this Genesect can get stuck in the active spot. All we need to do is evolve our Poliwhirl. We'll keep the rare candy. No need to waste rare candy at the moment. We just want to get this Genesect stuck in the active spot. So let's promote our Poliwag. We can always float stone the Poliwag if we want to retreat it or something. And we top deck the Politoed. Never mind, we top deck the Politoed. Well then, let's hit for the... I might as well Dive Ball for my Slowking if I have it. Do I have it? Yes, I do. And I have the Poliwrath as well. That's interesting, but I will not grab it for now. I will use my Slowking instead. Try to move that energy to the Shaymin on the bench there. Ah, it's a Tails. It's a Tails. Well, Spiral Current it is. 420. Let's see here. No more V-Seekers. We could only see just 1 AZ. And that could ruin our strategy. The AZ could ruin our strategy if my opponent has it. Could definitely ruin our strategy, the AZ. But then all we need to do is bench another Poliwag and my opponent is out of AZ. Unless he plays 2 and then we need to bench another Poliwag and then he's out of AZ. But that's only 2 prizes. That's only 2 prizes. That's not enough for my opponent to take the game here. We might just be able to win the game simply by Spiral Currenting this Genesect. And then maybe Lysandering something else to Spiral Current something else before we knock out the Genesect. Because this Genesect is going to go down in 8 turns. And that is too soon for us because my opponent only decks out in 10 turns. We see an energy on the Heatran on the bench, and there's the AZ. He did have the AZ. There was the AZ after all. So he's going to knock out our Poliwag. We will need to promote our Politoed. Now we need a Lysander. Now it is of utmost importance that we find a Lysander. Steel drop for the knockouts. Now we need our Lysander. Now the top deck needs to come through here. We need a V-Seeker for a Lysander. Please give us a top deck. A Floatstone. Are you freaking kidding me? A Floatstone. And this fails as well. This fails as well. Well, our top decks are not helping us out one bit. 80 damage, that's a knockout on our Shaymin. And my opponent can power up the Genesect again and go for... Well, he cannot Lysander again. So we are going to hope we can top deck something in the next turn. And we will promote our Slowpoke here. Our top decks are letting us down big time here. Big time. We have such a good shot at taking this game. All we need to do is find another Poliwag, find our Sacred Ash, and get another Poliwag going. And we have this game. We have this game and move the energies around as well. That as well. There's a Metalings. Another Metalings. Yeah, we need to move the energies around as well. Unless my opponent attaches all energies here, then we can Lysander Bronzong and get that Bronzong stuck. There's a Steel Drop. We will promote our Politoed. We might have to promote our Slowking here if we don't top deck anything, but I would be so surprised. We have 20 cards left and we have so many more resources in our deck. Oh yes, VS Seeker. Question is, do I have VS Seeker for Sycamore? VS Seeker for an N? VS Seeker for the Skyla for the Sacred Ash? Oh, this is a tough call. Well, we can only VS Seeker for a Sycamore, I guess. We can only VS Seeker for a Sycamore. So we will have to give my opponent another knockout. He cannot license our Shaymin, so the Slowking will have to go down. If I Sycamore, I bring myself down to 12 cards and 7 in my hands. I'm going to have to Sycamore here. I'm going to have to Sycamore. Let's put this Floatstone on our Slowking. I really hope he does not have another Listener. Really hope. Might as well take a look at my deck here. No basics as I expected. We do have 2 Sacred Ash, so we should be able to find a Sacred Ash from this Sycamore. Hopefully we have another level ball. Oh my goodness, we missed out on the Sacred Ash. Are you freaking kidding me? That's unbelievable. That's unbelievable. Well then, let's see, let's retreat. That is super unlucky. We are so unlucky here in this game. We have such a good chance of taking this game just by digging out my opponent, but we just simply cannot get what we need. So let's try to move this energy. Maybe we can get this Heatran. And no, this fails as well. This fails as well. Jesus Christ. Well, down goes our Slowking. I cannot believe that, and we don't even have a VS Seeker for a Listener, so I'm not sure how we are going to solve this without our Slowking. Metalings. We don't even have a VS Seeker for a Listener. So we are basically done for unless we don't make a VS Seeker for a Listener on the Bronzong. Another Metalings. That is 8 energy in play. How many in the discards? None. There's a DCE on the Heatran. It's going to retreat the Heatran by attaching a DCE. Oh no, actually it's going to knock out with Steam Blast. So close, yet so far away. This is so frustrating. All we needed was that Poliwag to get the Bronzong stuck in the active spot, and we would have had it. We could have moved the DCEs away from the Bronzong. We had the game here. We had the perfect game. We had the win here, but we messed it up. We messed it up big time. It is over. It is over. We needed that Slowking. We needed that Slowking. Might as well end and see what we can do. This is ridiculous. I am so disappointed. And we miss out on the Sacred Ash again. I'm just going to Ultra Ball here. I am just going to Ultra Ball just because I can. There's our VS Seekers that we needed. Let's discard Rough Seas and this Dive Ball. Let's take a look at our deck here. Let's take a look at how ridiculous this is. There's our Sacred Ash. 2 Sacred Ash. We missed out on it. We missed out on it. Turn and turn again. And that is why we lose this game. Let's end our turn. Let's give up. Let's give my opponent a Shaymin. Let's give him 7 prizes for his effort. But he was very close to losing this game. I don't think he knows how close he was. Despite him being down to 1 prize, it wouldn't have mattered if he had simply been able to license the Bronzong and then hit for the Spiral Current with our Poliwag here. Hit for that Spiral Current. My opponent would have been confused and could not retreat, and he did not have any more AZs. I'm pretty sure he did not have any more AZs. And there is a loss. The loss that was caused by the pure randomness of the game. The pure randomness that's just basically screwed us over. It happens, but it is so disappointing. It does not take away from any of the sadness that I am feeling deeply in my heart, and I will be feeling for the rest of my day here today. 90 damage dealt versus 750 from my opponent. Poliwhirl MVP versus Heatran. Alright, let's find ourselves another opponent, hopefully with better luck and better RNG. Diagon Pharaoh is going to be our opponent with a Metal Colorless and a Fighting deck, as well as this Totodile coin. This very nice coin that I've seen over and over the last few days. Maybe it was in a shop bundle or something. We will go first because we won the coin flip. Let's see if we can set up here. We start off with And okay.
Karp, 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 Karp.